which were there, okay, either for example, let's say there was a forest fire, okay, in Uttarakhand, okay, that was in a wildlife sanctuary. So how your UPSC tries to pick question is, this topic came into current affair, meaning something happened there, so the topic came. So you have to look into things such as where is that wildlife located, okay, what are the natural features present there, what is the flora there, what is the fauna there, okay, that way the topics are curated, okay. These were all very much the topics which came in news in the month of June, okay. So the first topic that we'll be seeing in today's class is direct seeding of rice. Okay, so your Punjab government, if you look at Punjab government, it has been asking to do this direct seeding of rice. Before we enter into it, just understand why this came into news. So what happened was your Punjab government was telling this is very much important for us because see, if you look at our history, Green Revolution, you might have heard of it. So this Green Revolution was very much actively seen, okay, in your Punjab regions. So that is the place where they are telling if we get this, that is direct seeding of rice, if it happens, it will be much more beneficial for us. We'll see how and what. Before entering into it, I'll give it to you like a small skeleton, try understand. If a rice paddy has to be grown, first it has to be kept in a nursery, okay, then it has to be allowed to grow, the saplings will be taken and then it will be planted on the mainland, okay. So what happens is, one thing about your rice cultivation is it's extensively water intensive crop, okay, meaning it consumes a lot of water. And also another thing is it consumes a lot of manpower because people first have to maintain nursery and then from there you have to bring it back, sow it here. So it's a lot of human capital intensive and also your water intensive. But both these things, see, with respect to human capital, we don't have a dearth of human beings. We have adequate people with unemployment, in fact. But we also have something called as disguised unemployment. Means a family which could be doing, let's say a family has 11 members. 11 members could actually do out work which could bring in 11 different incomes. But instead, all of them are working on the same plot, okay, which brings in very little amount of income and also heavy stress on that little amount of land they have, okay. So these will avoid that kind of issues. So according to direct seeding of rice, what your Punjab government is telling is, we have a procedure where we can directly sow the seed into the soil, okay, using tractors, and it will grow in. We can totally eliminate this nursery concept, first thing. And second thing is, it reduces human need, much of human need, that is intensive human needs. Second thing is, if you do it in this way, the water intensive crop will use less water in this manner. So it addresses twin challenges, okay. Let's see, the direct seeding of rice is otherwise called a star vatar. Okay, this method is preferred over your traditional transplanting techniques. That is why we call it direct seeding of rice. Okay, directly you are going to plant the rice in the soil. And how it is going to be done? Tractor powered machines. Okay, and another thing is, yes, it doesn't require nursery preparation, etc. The water, okay, intensive crop. Now here we cannot just tell water intensive crop now doesn't need water at all or very minimal of water. No, water can be saved up to 50 to 20%. Okay, 50 to 20% of water can be saved if it is for one particular plot. Imagine for entire Punjab. Yes, so good amount of water saving can be done. But one thing with respect to usage of this is, the land has to be completely leveled. Okay, so much leveling has to be done that it has to be laser leveled. Okay, another thing is, you cannot use the direct seeding of rice on a land which previously had grown things which were not rice. Okay, let's say they would have grown wheat. Okay, let's say they would have grown some millets. Okay, at that point of time, the very next method you can't use this because the soil would have lost its nutrients. Okay, extra nutrients you can't physically just add, right? Because you have to let the soil also rejuvenate. So much so rejuvenation that you have to once have your traditional transplantations. Okay, for that kind of land you can aram se bring in direct seeding. Okay, for land which has had other crops, for that it becomes very difficult. Another main thing is you have to spray in a lot of herbicides. Read on up until here. Whatever we discussed, just write it down like a small story. Because most times, whenever the questions are asked in the mains, okay, you need to have a full context before answering the question. Okay, we'll move ahead. Yes. Huh. But in a more precise manner. Yes. Okay. That's pretty much the things that we discussed. One other thing is it leads to groundwater recharge. Why? Because we get to save water. Okay. Another thing is it is potential higher yield. That is by 15 to 20 days, if at all you go for rice plantation, comparatively direct seeding of rice will be ready 15 to 20 days earlier than transplantation rice. Okay, that's a very important feature here. Okay, one of the main disadvantages is your suitability. This is not suitable for less dense soil. This is only suitable for higher to medium dense loamy soil. Okay. See, a lot of things are, if we tell density, it's not just how we pick out the soil and we see what is there, what is not there. Rice is one of the most intensive crop, right? So we have to look for the content of humus. Okay, we have to see. Main thing is what are the nutrients. So we have certain things which comes from the soil, right? Let's say alluvial soil. Okay, alluvial soil is very fertile on its own. It's very fertile because that is why it's called alluvial soil. It's bringing all rich silt, all those things from the mountains, rivers, etc. Whereas if you come down south, okay, if you look at India ka, once we cross this zone, okay, the concept of all year round the rivers or perennial rivers are absent because all the mountainous regions are focused in this belt only. Down south we come, it is only we have the rivers which are coming from either through hills. We have Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, only this kind. But the ones that is coming from here, the naturality that or year-round ka, whatever minerals etc. it brings from the soil, that is all deposited here. That deposition is not there here. So that deposition is one main reason how you check the density. Okay. This is the next topic we will be discussing. First and foremost, before we enter the topic, for a country, which do you think is advantageous, imports or exports? Why is exports advantageous? Let's say, let's assume this condition. I have to spend for an article, any article it could be. If I'm going to produce it in my country, I'm going to spend around 100 rupees. Okay, but the same article, if I'm going to get it imported, I'm going to spend somewhere around only 70 rupees, which is profitable for me. So basically, here the export and this is the import. Yes. So which would you prefer in this condition? But if you see like a productivity of India, like want to keep make things in India and make the economy of India better, then we can do 100 rupees and we can bring technology which will make things cheaper and excellent. See, here the target should not be about the price. The target should be about sustainability. The reason we're telling sustainability is if we can take this, it's easier, temporary measure it is. We can run. We how much? By max we say 30 rupees. Yes. But on the long run, the country cannot sustain. Because the country will become completely import dependent, that if let's say another pandemic hits, like during your COVID pandemic, that was also how your 2024 mains question was asked, based on your China supply chain. Okay, the supply chain majority hold is in your China, and majority of the countries are trying to be dependent on country like China. During pandemic times or in any political turmoil times, they will start dictating, they will start using the supply chain to leverage the political gains. So one country will be bound by China's decision. So it is not for the long run, or in otherwise it is not sustainable for the long run. This, yes, 100 bucks we are spending to make this, but like you said, we also get, first and foremost, we get additional benefits of employment. And especially for a country which has huge rich human capital, this is the need of the hour. Okay, alongside this employment, one more thing we can possibly get is more and more, okay, innovations in this will lead to technical expertise, research and development. Okay, this will again boost up your science and technology. Okay, the possibility of, okay, the concept of both the genders getting involved, okay, for the hiring etc., is also a possibility. So there is a potential for reduction of poverty also. So in a way this will lead to reduction of income inequalities. Yes. So again, on the whole, it also has the potential to lead to a better HDI indicator, Human Development Index. The reason we're talking, the topic says something about India to resume wheat imports and remove import tax, etc. And we're talking about import and export is because the country places stringent import conditions for few things. Okay, why are we doing that? Also, we need a small para, a line or two when if you're attempting needs. Okay, why we prefer exports over imports? No country can ever remain like I am totally self-sufficient. No country in the world can ever tell that I'm going to have zero imports. If you are thinking I'm going to have zero imports, then the country you're exporting also will think the same. Then that is not a fair practice. Then that directly violates your World Trade Organization. Yes, that is your fair trading concept. All these are important when you are going to speak about this particular topic. Right on up until here. Done. So, imports are needed, exports are preferred. Okay. One thing, India is to resume wheat imports and remove import tax. Look at this word here, resume wheat imports, which means India was already importing but had stopped and now it is going to again continue it. See, the first line itself states India is the world's second largest wheat producer. World's second largest wheat producer is now thinking of importing wheat. Why do you think it might be? Quality. Any other thing you can think of? Excellent. See, we are the world's second largest wheat producer, but we are ending up wanting to get wheat from elsewhere. First and foremost thing, post-pandemic world. Okay, post-pandemic world pay, and also this is one concept we have realized from very beginning. Post-pandemic world pay, first and foremost, during all the lockdowns, etc. This should not be the condition where only rich gets to survive, poor gets perished. So, which means basic security is to be given to those kind of scenarios. Okay, from the very beginning. Okay, India has always made sure about your food security in the form of your PDS system. What is PDS system? Or otherwise your ration shops. Okay, we give food grains at subsidized rates. When we say 1, 2, 3 rupees per you are getting food grains, okay, that comes at a large cost for the government, which means government has to have a larger storage of these grains, which means food procurement is higher. Food procurement by the government is on a higher side. Now, we are producing good quantity, we are producing good quality also. But the thing is, majority of that is procured by the government. See, if I'm going to produce wheat, okay, I'm a farmer, my worry is not who is going to buy, whether a government is going to buy or a private guy is going to buy. My only issue is who is going to give me better price, because at the end of the day, I also have to survive, right? So, majority of the food is procured by the government, and one of the ways they promote the farmers to do that is through your MSPs. What is your MSP? Minimum support price. Yes. So what happens is, here we are using mainly the support is because they are supporting the farmers in this way. Let's say before even the crop is sowed, they are helping this price. They are telling this price I will buy. Whether, let's say, they would have promised 100 rupees I will buy your grain 1 kg. But in the market rate, let's say it's only it fell back to 30 rupees. Still the government will support the farmers and give 100 bucks only. Okay, so majority of the food or majority of the wheat that is produced in our country, that is second largest wheat producer, is bought by the government itself for storage purpose in the name of food procurement. Okay, why they are doing this? To meet the nation's food security demand. The exact line should be present. Okay, so mains answer ke liye. Now what happened? Yes, we are the largest food producer, but with this, we are not very active exporters. Okay, countries which are smaller, whose produce is smaller, they are good exporters. For example, Bangladesh. Okay, but we, because of our food security program, we are not active exporters. Meaning, we ourselves, what is produced is not sufficient for us. So why will we export? Understanding? Earlier we had imposed a tax of 40% import tax on wheat. Now if we have to get wheat into our country, do you think any country will be willing to pay 40% import tax? Or even if we want to buy, import tax is not for them, import tax is for people who want to buy from here. But they'll also have issues. Yes. So why do you think a private individual will want to buy and then pay 40% of tax on that? If at all India decides to resume wheat imports, then the possibility of reducing the 40% import taxes on a higher level, or it is a very high probable condition. This is to indicate that India had levied 40% of import tax on wheat. No, import tax means understand this is India. Okay, let's assume this is Russia. Okay, import matlab India wants to import from Russia. It has to be taken from here to this country. Let's say this person is a rice seller. He also sells wheat. He recognizes how wheat is in very small quantity, but wheat is your common staple food in households in especially northern, northwestern regions. Everywhere throughout India it's present, but I'm telling staple food, which means it's main. So those people can't go without having food. So he decides, wheat inside the country quantity shortage, everything is there. How about I buy it from Russia? Okay, Russia sells wheat for 100 bucks only. Example. But this guy, if he has to import this wheat into our country, he has to pay this 100 plus the 40% tax on this. Okay, so which means in a way we are trying to dissuade him to not buy from outside. So import tax is levied to make sure you do not get the product into the country. Okay, right on up until here. Now I said because if it's a current affair topic, the possibility of question on the crop of wheat is very predominant. Okay, so let's just understand few of these things. Completely prelims based. This is it is a rabi crop, and nowadays if you see largely it is for your statement kind of questions. Majoritarily they tend to ask this. It is a rabi crop, and also while growing it needs cool temperature. Okay. At the time of harvest it needs bright sunshine. These two are key important factors. They have already asked this in prelims also. Okay. And this was the main crop of interest during your green revolution. Okay. Green revolution one of the main outcomes is rabi crops was extensively produced. Okay, during the sowing period of time it needs 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, harvesting 21 to 26 degree. Bright sunshine is the keyword. The rainfall it requires is 75 to 100 centimeters. All of this is important from your statement perspective questions. The soil type, well drained fertile loamy to clayey loamy. Largely which is suitable for wheat production is your Ganga Satluj plain, or one of the excellent sources is your black soil region of your Deccan areas or your Maharashtra region. Okay. Now just tell me a condition. What would happen? Okay. You have to write down this as a subsection also, because you'll have to address these kind of things in your question also. What would happen if India removed import tax? Now let's take on wheat itself. Okay, India removed completely import tax on wheat. What do you think might happen? Hmm. Huh. But during pandemic, we didn't actually import. Now we are importing, and now we are actually thinking to import. Why? To earn more profits. Okay. During actually pandemic time, we didn't have this much headache. Like we said, 3 years pay that import tax was there, which means during these past 3 years also it was there. Understanding. But now, fairly, like as you said, we have come into a post-pandemic world. We are not in that much of crazy moments. But one thing that is happening in the world right now is equivalent to what we faced in 2019. The world itself has now entered into extreme volatility. There is conflict, Russia Ukraine conflict on one side. There's Israel Hamas, Israel Hezbollah, Israel is falling out with your Syria. Okay, so almost the west, the east, both these sides where we are having turmoils, conflicts, wars. Okay, and to add fuel to this, there is also your US presidential election, US Fed rates cuts, which means there is sharp increase in the products. Okay, the price of products are very volatile. Now you might see the gold prices are plummeting. It is going into very high levels. One of the things is because of the uncertainty. Because of this uncertainty, anything can happen. To add to our woes, to add to our extreme scenarios that is already happening, from past 3 years, our crop, okay, that is also not coming out like as we expected. Crop spoiling is seeing more, especially for wheat. Okay, our crop output, that is the amount which you would actually get and the amount which you're getting is very, very much decreasing. Our crop output has decreased very much. Okay, alongside this and international volatility that is happening right now, meeting the challenges of food security is becoming a headache task. Okay, and especially for a country like India, who's developing country and who's a welfare country. Okay, the model we try to approach is a mixed economy through welfare state. Two keywords mainly has to be there. Okay, so under this scenario, now we have decided to import more. Understanding? For statement kind of questions, again, they tend to ask which country is the first producer and also completely from prelims perspective. Let's see a few of these data. This is very important. The world's highest producer with respect to it is your China, India, and then comes your Russia. Within India, it's Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Punjab. Okay. The export markets are your Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka. Write down all these three important from statement perspective. Meaning, yes, and also they are the ones who are leading in the production. It's there, no, Punjab. No, no, it's not. Not just in the quantity. The area that comes under it is also important. No, Punjab also makes rice, na. UP also makes, but the area which you will dedicate to wheat, the area with which you will dedicate to rice, each season ke liye it will change. Wheat. Okay. Now, below that, I read on a small heading. there's a battle of import versus export, like we spoke, right? So this is like a constant tug of war that we try to play. I want you to put this heading and write down a small summation of what we discussed. Okay? I want you to write that in the form of descriptive answer. It could be point wise or paragraph, up to you. Yes. Because tug of war means again both sides gets to pull. No? This is a more pronounced part to the question. Battle of import versus export, a tug of war or an act of balance. Done? Shall we move ahead? So we've been talking something about wheat, okay, and you're gone. Yes. Disadvantages of? No, no. Here, the disadvantage means we have to see it in a manner that from international perspective. Let's say I'm going to tell, I've put 40% tax, it is not less, no? If I tell I'm going to put the same tax to all the other country cup products, do you think that they will allow my products in their country with smooth transitioning? They will in turn try to put the same thing for me, which means I am not able to visualize the full profit of exports. Yes, so that is one of the main disadvantages. And also we see many a times your former US President Donald Trump, he was telling that there are certain luxury vehicles in India where we put 100% tax to just get that. So now they were complaining about that. You want concessions for your products, but at the same point of time, you will put 100% tax on our products. So we will put sanctions against you. So they try to threaten us. So in these conditions. Okay. So now we've been speaking government procures food grains for food security. If there is any organization or any body that does all this, it is a Food Corporation of India. Okay. Again, strictly from your prelims perspective, statement kind of questions, this is very important. The Food Corporation was established under a Food Corporation Act of 1964. It performs under a Department of Food and Public Distribution, Ministry of Consumer Affairs and Food Public Distribution. This is very, very important. Statement kind of questions, they can directly ask a statement, they can just change the ministry. Okay, the next also can come in the form of a statement question, because FCI's role, if it is asked in general, it appears like just procurement and storage, but no, it goes to procurement, storage, distribution, price stabilization, and most important, even the monitoring. Okay, for your statement and questions, very important. We'll move ahead. The next topic that we'll be discussing is about your green hydrogen. Again, ministry, very, very, very important. Usually what they tend to do is just change the ministry in the question and ask. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Hydrogen pe, try understanding it like this. At the end of the day, hydrogen, gray or green. Gray hydrogen means this is produced by burning of fossil fuels, okay, which in turn let the pollutants into the atmosphere, leading to all your global warming, etc. This is not desirable. Gray hydrogen is not desirable because a fossil fuel, fossil woods, okay, all your conventional source of oil, okay, these are used in the burning, which again add to the double levels of releasing pollutants into the atmosphere, leading to ozone levels getting issues, and then global warming. Okay, but if you see all the developing countries, okay, especially India, 95% of its fuel demands of the entire country are met through grey hydrogen. Okay, this is the concept of grey hydrogen itself is very undesirable. Okay, green hydrogen, okay, that way also to produce electricity, okay, which is again used in electrolysis manner and all. Fossil fuels are burnt, but in a manner that it is not released into the atmosphere. Okay, they have good storage concept. The same is not there for your grey hydrogen. But at the end of the day, this fuels up also and doesn't let any pollutants which is as harmful as your grey hydrogen. Because of see, for that we have CCUS, carbon capture utilization storage mechanism, okay, which means one of the ways CCUS is carbon capture utilization storage. One of the ways is okay, whatever carbon that comes out, okay, or any other materials for that, they capture that within the system only. And that system, usually one of the ways that we are doing is huge bed of rocks, okay, they pump it inside this with water. Okay, so it is nothing but again components which earth is made up of only, right? So it is back put in here and stored. Okay, the same feature is not available here. Understanding? So your green hydrogen, because of its lack of, okay, again when I'm telling lack of, it does not harm the nature or the environment or the global warming as much as your grey hydrogen. Because of that purpose, it is called as fuel of the future. Okay, majority countries like your American, Northwestern, and also your European countries are largely using your green hydrogen. Okay, and this is the next part of the debate, which is where they tend to ask majority questions in your mains and interview. Global warming, COP, you know, COP 25, 26, COP 21, 22, all this thing. Climate change, okay? They are conference of parties. Huge debate is on climate change only. These Western countries try to threaten, okay, try to threaten the third world countries or developing countries by telling you are extensively using carbon. You are leaving a huge carbon footprint. Keyword is carbon footprint. So much so that it is harming the environment. Climate change activities are pressurizing everywhere. Because of you only, we are not able to do this. Where we are using grey hydrogen, is it replaceable by green hydrogen or we have to make different machines? Yes, different ones. It is another case. But this is where the issue comes. Today, whatever we are telling, the world is getting heated up, etc., is not because of the countries using this grey hydrogen presently. Yeah, because now countries like India and China, all these countries are using Africa. The issue is not because of us using it presently. The issue is because of the same Western countries today who are using green hydrogen. 17th and 18th century, their industrial revolution was sparked and fueled, and it was possible because of this. They were the ones who caused it. Developing countries, because now they have advanced technology. See, for a developing country, green hydrogen, now let's say the vehicles itself, for a country like India, we have conditions where not India is made of all different folks, from your higher class to your low income group. All this kind of people do not live under a same concept. Okay, few urban middle class concept only we cannot imagine. Let's say people are telling, why don't you buy electric cars? Still in India के लिए majority of the people, it is a dream to buy a car. Majority of the population. And for such a population, most of the times they tend to live in rented houses, 1 BHK houses, etc. Where exactly are they going to go find charging stations? And the way of our roads, etc., most of the energy which is saved up ends. The long range, or the fact that you can go do a long trip and come back, okay, with just that much charge without on way of charging, is not feasible, right? And also the state right now cannot put all charging stations everywhere and keep, because we are also in excessive cash crunches. Still for people, your government railways, further we'll be discussing, 10 rupees, 15 rupees ticket fare itself is difficult for them to afford. For such people, the Western countries' preference of telling, why don't you keep charging stations? Why don't you put trams? Why don't you put ultra high metro trains? Where exactly can our people afford that? These people were all once in that phase. All the Western countries now who are telling, we're all once in that phase. We are in this phase is because we can't afford the other one. Now they have become so developed. That is what started in the 17th century is now why they are developed in 21st century. We are now starting in 21st century and they expect us to be exactly like them. This is the issue with respect to usage of grey hydrogen versus sustainability, or that is your global warming. Okay, again same thing like you did for the previous question, write on this thing, grey hydrogen versus global warming for developing countries. See, current affair going through should not be just about accumulation of facts, should also be about how you have to write it for the exam. Okay, under that particular heading, write it down. Yes, in all versions. No, what is it? No, no, no. But when we are telling green hydrogen, they have other alternate modes of transportation, which doesn't necessarily need green hydrogen. But that level of things we can't still get it and make it into a possibility. Majority of them have converted. Majority meaning somewhere around 80% you can put it. But they definitely are not using coal like we still have to use. Okay. One thing about your green hydrogen is it does not emit greenhouse gases when burnt. One of the ways your green hydrogen electricity is produced is using your renewable sources like your wind energy, solar energy, tidal energy, etc. But even usage of, see, India has committed itself for larger usage of renewable energies. Okay, but renewable energy is not again very much the first option that a developing country gets to pick. Okay, we have issues with charging, we have issues with production. Okay, and for that huge initial investments are needed. Okay, amidst all these things, for a developing country putting this much of stress is not good for that particular countries, which is what the West is exactly pressurizing the developing countries to do. And this is one of the reasons why, even though China is one of the most robust economy, it is still wanting its claim as a developing country. Understanding, because it gets to fall in this list. Okay, again, like we said, green hydrogen, it uses renewable sources such as solar, wind, hydel, etc. Whereas gray hydrogen, it is through burning of fossil fuels. National Green Hydrogen Mission, to make sure we are compliant with the international. Okay. The keyword is compliant with the international agreement and treaties. Okay. We have to make sure that at least we produce 5 mmts of your green hydrogen, or basically large switch to your renewable energy. Okay, and also one major thing that we are trying to do with National Green Hydrogen Mission is we are trying to incentivize the commercial production. See, again, we are a mixed economy. State only cannot take everything up. Private players should also take this role, but private players will not take up if they have no profit in it. And in these kind of things, profit seeing either too, especially in a developing country in initial stages, is very difficult. So to overcome that, okay, the government is leveraging them with incentives. It means if at all you could make profit and you are not able to make, we will give that incentives. But again, this is not coming at a very larger scale. So that is one of the reasons why commercial production and venturing into it is not very active. And also one other reason is lack of R&D. Okay, and again, why lack of R&D? The percentage of people even getting involved in research and development is very less. Whoever get involved, they go off to other countries. So R&D is suffering hugely in India. Okay, write that down, it's very important. Okay, This particular statement is a very bold and ambitious statement. Net exporter of the fuel. First, we have to make sure self sufficiency is created. Then we have to be thinking about exporter. But again, what this is speaking in this mission is it's speaking about the aspiration of this mission. What do we try to see? What is the point of we doing this? So, from that perspective, it's very important. Okay, we have pledged, okay, in your COP21 and all, and we have been sort of made to forcibly do it, is we have to reduce our gray hydrogen consumptions or basically carbon footprint by 45% by 2030, which is a very, very, very difficult task, especially for a now growing nation like India. It's almost equivalent to just a baby who's learned how to walk, you're telling a run in a 100-meter marathon. That is the implications that they were trying to put on us. That is not a release, but we're not even very close to it. That will be released by your ministry itself, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. But if they release it, then they will be under huge pressure. We have up until 2030. That is not very far in the future. 5 years down the line, we are hardly we met 2%. That is the reason why they are still holding it back. 20? 0%. No, you're asking can we do 0% or do you think we can do 45% at that time you're asking? That time that is a possibility, 2070. But 2030 ke liye 45% is very bold, ambitious statement. This percentage is very important. Then we'll move ahead. Regional rapid transit system. Okay. First and foremost, the main keywords you have to see is it is a mass transit network, meaning it is where one of the other alternatives for your railways and metros because it is more faster. And also it provides, this is a keyword, this should be the highlight in your mains answer if at all the question is to come on this. Balanced and sustainable urban development, because this is in terms with smart city, sustainable city, green city, your SDGs, sustainable development goals. And this is one way that we are trying to make sure that public transportation to be used over your private transportation, because A, it reduces congestion, and also B, it reduces the concept of traffic, and also it reduces the stress put on metros and railways. I'll explain. These are all the keywords, very important. Right? So now when we say regional rapid transit systems, for example, we have trains, railways. There is a difference in the railways only, but there is a difference in metro and railway. Yes. Similarly, there is also a difference between a super train, for example, Vande Bharat Express, and compared to a metro, and compared to your railways. Similarly, see, this is having a faster approach, but at the same time, it will be pricier also, right? But it is better if you, let's say, one of the common things is people tell that if at all metro was to connect to Silk Board, or if at all metro will become operational up until the end, that is your electronic city, Ati, Balle, all these places were to be connected by your metro means majority of the traffic chunk is in Silk Board, electronic city, Bomnali, all the zone, the traffic will reduce very much there. Okay, because you are providing a system, or that is the whole thing about your RRTS. Let's say from Jayanagar, you have to go to end of Karnataka tak, electronic city end tak. Okay, this is where the majority of traffic is. It takes almost 2 hours on a very peak hour to cross this zone. If someone was to come and give you an option, you will sit here and you will get down here in hardly 10 minutes, where you don't have to drive super fast, and also you will be given a good luxury to sit. Okay, here the word I'm using is also luxury. Okay, air conditioned, you have good cozy comfortable seats. Would you pick this or this? Yes. So your regional rapid transit system is that version where we are trying to blend luxury, fast, and also reduce the congestion by using your private mode of transport, and even on the public transport, you reduce the usage of metro and rail congestions. Understanding? Again, this we have started in one place, but this becoming into a full-fledged thing itself again. Capital investment, expenditure, it puts a burden, but it is one of a good ways. No, no, not air taxis. For example, let's take this Vande Bharat Expresses and all. Okay, now the way they are planning the transit system is, for example, you've heard this a recent news that came where the train collision happened. That there is a topic that we will discuss on that also, where the rails get derailed. Okay, collision will happen in this transit system, same like railways. Okay, same like railways, but the wheel will not touch the ground. Magnetic levitation. So that way pe dekho, that is there in your New York and all those kind of cities. They are trying to bring models similar to on this, especially in Japan majority tries with magnetic levitation. Okay, so this technically you cannot put it in airways, roadways. Okay, because of its levitation. Okay, we still call it regional transit system. This magnetic levitation, that is what we call as maglev. This is very important. Maglev is the keyword for these things. No, no. The operation is very different, because for something to have maglev, you have to also have that kind of things. For our normal railway tracks, if you put magnetic levitation, okay, it is not bound to work. So the advantages include employment generation, shorter travel time, higher frequency, more comfort. Okay, because we're on the same topic. Because of the excessive, like I told, when they're going to pose a questions, it is based on the current affairs. You mind reading out this question out loud? Then see, look at the question. In the context of rising train accidents in India, analyze the causes behind such incident. What can be done apart from resource allocation to deal with the issue? The second part of the question is very important. There is a reason why they've highlighted only that particular word. Since the beginning, 1854, first railway lines, Bombay to Thane. From that period of time till almost 2000s, 2000, 2024 also you can put this. Death due to train casualties is higher. Okay, and also majority of the population, especially free independent India pair, their only mode of transportation, that is people who rely on public transportation which is higher, means it is only trains. And one of the ways where people are seeing higher increased accidents is because of that. Constantly whenever asked the question, why so many issues are happening, why these incidents are happening, usual answer that is given is lack of resource allocation. This has become like their go-to mantra to tell. When asked why is there lack of resource allocation, they again point out developing country, our country is already strained, etc. Was the story they used to tell. This is almost like giving a passive aggressive statement. They are not meaning it directly here, they are taking a jab at it. Time and again from the since very beginning they've been giving this issue only, resource allocation, lack of resource allocation. But if you see the budget, okay, if you see the budgets, almost 25 percentage of the funds on capital expenditure, okay, is spent on railways, which means that is a very huge chunk of money to be put on a public transportation system. Okay, this is a pretty huge amount of money you have earmarked, and now you still cannot use lack of resource allocation issue, which means up until now you played the lack of resource allocation card, but now you can't pay that because adequate thing is, that is why look at the question, what can be done apart from resource allocation to deal with the issue, which means the accidents are not happening because of this alone. Okay, so the understanding of this part of the question becomes very, very important. Write it down what it means. Address the second part, we will then come to first. Done? First and foremost, for the train accidents that happened, two major train accidents. One was your Jayanagar train accident, where when asked what is the reason, the Minister of Railways went ahead to tell that is because there was issue from the crew. Okay, there was lack of coordination, lack of following the concerns or following the guidelines by the train crew, engine driver, station master. All these people are to blame, is what they told. It was badly taken by public as well as the other organs and criticized it back, telling, first of all, the law that is made, it is too ambiguous. The law is very ambiguous and outdated, that be it the station master, driver, crew, etc., they are not knowing which one to follow, which one not to follow. Okay, first thing. Second thing, your railways has two issues. A, it's overstaffed. At the same point of time, it is understaffed. When we say overstaffed and understaffed, on places and positions where it needs actual amount of staffs to be working on, like for example vacancies, there were about 21,000 vacancies that was there in your Indian railways. But again, when you hire people, you have to pay salary to them, otherwise they'll go on strike, everyone will come. No, that is a burden to the railways. To avoid that, they stopped hiring for the vacancies. They needed 21,000 people, rather they let out notification which was wanting to recruit only 5,000 people. Again, the public got very enraged and they asked, what is this, you have this much this thing. Then they rechanged that announcement and left it for 18,500 posts vacancy they called for. So right on up until here. Okay, so you saw with the understaffed ka issue. Overstaffed ga, for example, there should be a clear chain of command. The station master has to tell this and this, if they get automation line report telling there's another train coming, okay, all these things, so he has to convey it to the engine driver or the crew, etc. But the line of protocol is so disturbed and so ambiguous that they don't know whom to follow and whom not to follow. Yes. Lack of coordination, lack of communication in the clear chain of command. They don't even know what is the chain of command. Okay. One other issue is, and the main issue is, safety mechanism. This is where major issue lies with. Okay. See, in your countries like your West, Europe, your American countries, etc., okay, they have this called ETS method, wherein they try to use automatic methods. Okay, those again might seem costly, or there might be reluctance from here to use that also, because if they are going to give us the technology, again they are the partners, we have to buy it from them, right? So somewhere all our public this control will be in their hands, so there is a lot of resistance in using that. Okay, that is automatic this thing from the Western partners. But rather your Indian system decided that it was going to use a new safety mechanism called as Kavach. This is a safety mechanism which Indian Railway wants to use. It is still not applied entirely. They are still trying it on a test trial basis. All this you have to write it down about your Kavach, because it is very important to address the first part of the question also. Okay, it's a safety mechanism. It is still on a test trial basis, which means it's not completely developed. Now, there was a condition laid in developing this mechanism. It is a safety mechanism. I'll explain what it is. That within this set date, you have to deliver. But they have missed it. Meaning it is taking a long time to come up with the safety mechanism, which means still that mechanism should work, should be tested, okay, and it has to be introduced gradually. It is going to take a lot of time. Okay, this is going to be very much time consuming for actual real time operation. It is time consuming is because it is now being developed. One of the things that people are telling is fine, see, first you don't know how it is going to work. That is one thing. We don't know the mode of operation of Kavach yet, because that is a mechanism, still it has not yet completed. It is still developing. For that to get developed and for that to undergo all the tests and trials, and then it will be introduced in a very small trial manners, and then it will be having to imposed on all the railways, it is going to take another couple of years. Until that time we cannot let the country's people be dying in this way. So they're telling, why don't you use that ETS method or ETL method that your foreign countries use. Again, that is not a full form thing, it is about the mechanism. Like for example, Kavach we are telling, no, it is a mechanism. So for them it is a mechanism name. Okay. Now subheading, write down Kavach. Okay. Now this is what the Indian Railways is determined to use as a safety mechanism, according to which it is an automation mode. Okay. It is an automation mode where when the rail is, or when your train is going, it will try to control the speed of the vehicle based on any aspect, such as if it is overspeeding, or if it is not listening to the head of your automation control. Okay, and if in case the need arises, it will start using brakes, automated mode pe, so much so that from slow manner, it's not like a two wheelers or four wheelers where you press the brake the vehicle will stand, right? It will start utilizing and using the brakes in a slow manner, so much so that what time and what precision it has to come to a standstill. Let's say it detects here there is a object of interference, OOI. There is an object of interference on the railways, and somewhere the train is still long back. it senses this. Okay, so it starts applying the brake from here onwards, slowly, 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 so much when it comes to here, it completely comes to standstill mode. Okay, this is the objective, this is the idea. How much percent of it is going to come is not known. Not known to Indian Railways, not known to even the mechanism developers. Meanwhile, they are telling, by the time they are okay, fine, you are telling this thing, this is good, but when exactly is it going to come? How many lives have to be lost in meanwhile? Yet you telling, at least in the meantime, why don't you use artificial intelligence for at least not driving the trains, but at least getting the logs, getting the control, or using the command or control. So there is resistance in the Indian Railways to move towards your AI also, artificial intelligence. That also. Then information management and communication system was the second reason why they kept blaming, telling that the crew didn't do. But truth is, there is no proper line which manages the information management and communication system. Okay, and this is very important. This is the reason why they gave for the last two thing, and also they have set up a committee to inquire into the last two train accidents. The outcome of this committee will reveal what exactly caused this train accident. Okay. The next topic we will be discussing is the Cassini-Huygens mission. Okay. See, this mission, okay, was very much started by your NASA. Okay, this is joint efforts of NASA, US, okay, EU, European Union, and your Italian Space Agency. Okay, one of the objectives of this mission, okay, was to study about Saturn, okay, and its moons. Okay, one of the objectives was to study about Saturn and study about its moon. The question was like, why do they study about Saturn or moon? What is the need for it? One main reason is to see if there are any promising or potential conditions for life existence. Okay, this one is an old mission, almost 2014. It started 2004 to almost 2017. This mission got over. Okay, so this is not something that current affair now came in. It came in because one thing about the Cassini mission brought us to experimenting with MOND. That is why it has come back to, okay, current affair, where the question on asking about the mission is a probability. When this Cassini mission, first we are speaking about Cassini mission, right? When it was sent, we send a probe. Okay, the probe identified that one of the largest moons of Saturn, that is your Titan, has probable potential for conditions for life existence. That is one of the things it discovered. Okay, and now we are done with Cassini mission. One thing about your universe is there are multiple things in the universe which are unexplainable and unknown. That is the only thing that we know. We don't even, we are still debating on this concept of whether there is extraterrestrial life, whether there is any other planet which houses life form like us. If you take this as a universe, okay, your Newton's law, Einstein's theory of relativity, or the concept of gravitational waves, okay, etc., are all one of the phenomenons experienced in the nature universe. One such phenomenon is the dark matter. Okay, it is said that 27%, okay, in the universe is occupied by dark matter. Okay, scientists are predicting this. Write these down. But one issue is we cannot see or possibly confirm it with precision that dark matter exists or not. Because as the name states, one opposite to your dark matter is original matter or ordinary matter. Okay, ordinary matter means something that holds mass. Okay, now we can see it, but the issue with dark matter is it consumes all of it to an extent that it doesn't even let light pass through it, which is why we cannot visibly detect it. Understanding? But there is conditions where we say dark matter exists. Your Israeli physicist came ahead and told, no, it necessarily need not be a dark matter, but it could also be a Milgramian dynamic. A black hole, smaller component compared to dark matter. See, dark matter has, it occupies space. It has matter. Write these two down. It's very important. It occupies space. It holds matter. But The difference between dark matter and ordinary matter is your dark matter does not absorb, emit, or reflect light. Okay, it won't absorb, emit, or reflect light. That is the difference, one of the main reasons why we differentiate as ordinary matter and dark matter. Okay, now let's see what this MOND is. Okay, what we tell, okay, let's say this is the part of the universe which is visible. We have again told 27% of the universe comprises of your dark matter. In this zone, or the area we are calling as dark zone, light is not going, light is not coming out, light is not even getting observed. Yes, we call that concept a dark matter. But this guy is telling, no, no, Newton's law will fail. Here is because of very weak gravitational field pair, okay, or where towards the edge of your galaxies. If we go nearby and observe it, we might be able to see it. But because we're seeing from very far, that is why this is happening. There is no such concept of dark matter, he is telling. One other thing about your dark matter is, right on up until here. Okay. Your Mond theory is telling no, there's no such thing called dark matter, but because of the specific gravitation and also how they are accelerating the speed, that is why we are not able to see. So this is confirmed, or according to the Israeli physicist, he is telling this is the reason and not dark matter. Understanding? Mond affects gravity at low acceleration rather than specific distances. This is the explanation given. The reason why Cassini mission came into effect is because we were able to test this theory on Saturn mission. Done? Clear up until here? This is the next one. Which one? Because now whatever the values etc. The Cassini missions was successful. Whatever data it brought with it, on that we could test the Mond theory now presently. That is the reason why it came back into current affairs. This is a very interesting and rather important current affair topic. Space variable objects monitor. It is between your France and China, and it is to detect and study about gamma ray bursts. Very, very important concept is because through this, okay, we get to see what the origin or the Big Bang theory was. Through this, we can identify any other solar systems, life existence, or the possibility of the time travel concept that we speak about, or time bending. Okay, all this can be visualized through this concept of gamma ray bursts. Okay, how we'll see. When any massive star explodes, when we say massive stars, 20 times more bigger than our sun. Okay, 20 times bigger than our sun. Okay, when those kind of stars explode, they emit bright cosmic beams. Okay, look at this, which releases very large amount of energy. Okay, let's say it happened somewhere here. It happened somewhere, let's assume in 4500 years before this issue we are talking. Now it has reached Earth. Okay, means we get all the information of 4500 years back. It is equivalent to go and bring your hand in your 4500 years history. Okay, okay, but one issue is when it crosses Earth, first thing, our atmosphere absorbs a few things. Second thing is it stays very few seconds in the earth when it is in the passing. Okay, and the last thing is it looks like any other ordinary light. So we don't have anything dedicated to observe those kind of things, but the China and France, okay, coming up with this concept will now be effective and efficient for us to understand that. It will be like any other normal line just passing through, or any other just small light passing through. So this is a very important, okay, a discovery. If it will lead to, it will change the perception and it will unravel more histories about our universe. Write down in that manner, because that will be your concluding remarks on the topic. Done? The next topic we'll discuss is your Agniban. This is also a possible question. Venturing of your private into the field of rockets. Write this down. Okay. Online class, you asked me, does green hydrogen cause any pollution in the whole process? So it is a very sustainable gas. Okay, it is considered as a greener fuel, alternate to the one that we are using, which means either during, okay, production of your green hydrogen or while the usage of your green hydrogen, production or combustion stage pe, it does not release any harmful greenhouse gases. Okay. Understanding? Clear up until here? Okay. This topic that we are discussing is with respect to your Agniban or private rocket flights. Okay. One main thing is first test series of Agniban under suborbital tech demonstrator. Okay. Before you launch anything full-fledged, you have to test it in real times. One thing about this Agniban is it is by a private entity. But the most important thing about this, which your answer has to have about the key feature is, it is 3D printed. It utilizes your knowledge of CAD, computer aided animation design. Okay, let's see what it is. It's a two-stage rocket. Okay, this is a very important question because this is the first of its kind we are doing, and it is a 14-ton launch vehicle. Okay, as of now in India, if at all any launch vehicle we are using, it is your TSLV or SSLV, both by your ISRO. Okay, these are the only ones who are into this field of your rocket launch vehicles. Now, ISRO has made sure that it shares the technical data. Technical data means technical expertise with the private players so that even they could venture into all allied sectors of space exploration. All the allied sectors meaning either in actual full-fledged sending into the space or even in the generation of launch vehicles. Okay, this is very important. I don't know up until here. Yeah, but SpaceX, Elon Musk, it's in the other countries, right? That is the US. This is to invoke the same strength of entrepreneurship into space exploration by our private individuals. Okay, this is first step towards that Agniva. One thing is, it is powered by semi-cryogenic engines, both the stages. Okay, and it uses liquid oxygen and kerosene as fuel. It can carry a payload of up to 100 kgs, and this is the first step towards the 3D printed rocket model. Yes, this is only for your small satellites and the place, okay, your Lagrange points are there, no? In that it can go only to your low Earth orbit. This they have almost bought it at the fifth attempt. First four attempts could not be carried because of due to the suboptimal carry conditions. The fifth attempt, this was held. Okay. The next topic, respect to the field of science and technology, this is a very important one. They have discovered the concept of neoprotein or novel protein. The reason we call this is, understand it in this manner. This is a bacteria. Okay, this guy is a bacteria. This virus guy. Okay, I'm trying to draw it like COVID, but it looks like a flower. Okay, if this virus guy attacks the bacteria guy, okay, he tries to make sure, again virus ka one thing is it tries to kill anything and everything it comes in its way, and that is the majority things that we face in the form of pandemic and everything. Viral infections, viral things are very hard. This bacteria will develop a system, okay, a immune response where it will eat it out, okay, meaning it will kill it out, it will not let it spread. That is why we call it bacteriophage. Bacteriophage, bacteria eats it off. Okay, if we find out how it is or what it is doing, then we can use it in our vaccines for immunization, etc. So if advancements are made in this is a very big game changer. Okay, the reason it has that is it has diverse immune system that sends and target the foreign nucleic acids, okay, of the virus guy, the bacteria. Write this down, important. How it does this? Through defense associated reverse transcriptase. Okay. One thing when we speak about this is, see, understand. One main thing is your virus is one of the most deadliest thing we say is because of its ability to reproduce in any scenarios. When I said bacteriophage, your bacteria, first condition when I told you, when anything, be it in a bacteria or be it in a human being, anything will try to remove the foreign object from our body. Okay, the same thing that the bacteria also will try to do. Okay, but this virus, okay, one thing about your virus is it has the ability to survive even in a dead host, dead condition. Let's say it's a very inhabitable condition. Okay, let's say even if it has entered into a scenario of post apocalypse world also, everything can perish except this thing. It goes into almost a stage where it is dead, but it's not dead, it becomes dormant. When it comes to a condition where it can again come back to life, when it comes to any other habitable host, it will come back to life. So similarly, when this bacteria tries to eat it, okay, this will go inside the nucleic acid of the bacteria and it tries to eat it from there. That is, it tries to disarm the bacteria, so it becomes a bacteria eater. Understanding? Your virus getting rid is not that easy is because of this only. It is too resistant. Okay, so these conditions will make this virus, okay, a very much irrespective of how much the bacteria tries to fight it, it goes into the system, it goes into the nucleic acid, okay, and pretends and presents itself as it is one of its own. So it disarms the target system, but in turn it starts eating the bacteria. So bacteriophage here means bacteria eater. Okay, it starts eating the bacteria before the bacteria finishes eating the virus. No, see, that is why I told you first instance bacteria is the one that will try to eat. Okay, but in this condition what your virus will do is it enters into the nucleic acid and it starts eating the bacteria. Understanding? How is DRT2 system mechanism? Where the bacteria undergoes gene synthesis via reverse transcription of non-coding RNA. Okay. Functions of cDNA. Okay. Main thing is translation of neoprotein. Okay, which will arrest the growth. Okay, we'll move ahead. The next topic, Rudra M2. This is very important. Prelims pe they tend to ask it in the form of match the following pairs. What is it? Rudra M2. Okay, this is more like air to surface missile, wherein the whole concept about this is keep Indian skies clear, which means if any enemy targets to us, this will detect it and destroy it. Okay, look at this. This is indigenously developed air launch missile. That is why it was held on your Sukhoi fighter jet. This air to surface, this is very important. Possibility of this question is higher. Okay. Main thing is it will neutralize the enemy asset and keep the India's air security. Okay, it acts as a force multiplier. One thing is you do not just retaliate, but you make sure you do not get impacted first. So this is what it follows. You make sure it doesn't hit itself. You destroy it in the air. That's the name Rudrayan. Done? Now these are certain things that you have to know it again, because I told you it is very important from the perspective. The range is about 300 kilometers up to 5.5 Mach. And one more thing is it can detect or identify the enemy, okay, through the radio frequency and radar signals from over 100 kilometers away. Okay, and this is to replace your Russian Kh-31 missiles. This is very, very, very important. Write it down. Done. The next is Chang'e 6 mission, where they are trying to unveil the lunar secrets from the south pole of the moon. They are going to retrieve as much as 2 kilos of moon samples when they come back. Okay, the reason they are trying to do is to find out the moon's geological intricacies. It comprises of a lander and rover, and also it comprises of something called as your CubeSat, which is from your Pakistan. Okay, and Pakistan is involved into this CubeSat. Okay, the last, it's launched. The last topic that was launched based on their previous success of the moon, far side of the moon. Binsar Wildlife Sanctuary. This where this came into current affair again because of the fire. The helicopter had to be deployed and it had to be controlled the fire there. It is present in your Uttarakhand region. Okay, more in around, it's about 47 kilometers in area. Okay, it was historical perspective. Say it was the summer capital of your Chan dynasty. They ruled up until somewhere around your 8th to 12th century. In the higher altitudes, you find oak and rhododendron trees. In the lower elevations or lower altitudes, you find pine forests. Okay, that brings us to the end of the topic online class. I hope you enjoyed the class as well. Okay, we'll end the session.